According to a new report, the reason that the National Guard was not immediately deployed on January 6th could be because there were fears within the military itself that Donald Trump would somehow use the National Guard to his advantage and, I guess, seize control of the government that he was in danger of losing, obviously, since he lost the election. Let me read this. This is from a report from a group called Just Security. Legal experts that work with this organization put out the following statement to go along with their report. Here it is. According to a report released last month, Christopher Miller, who served as acting Secretary of Defense on January 6, told the department's Inspector General that he feared, quote, "If we put U.S. military personnel on the Capitol, I would have created the greatest constitutional crisis probably since the Civil War." In congressional testimony, he said he was also cognizant of, quote, "fears that the president would invoke the Insurrection Act to politicize the military in an anti-democratic manner," end quote, and that factored into my decisions regarding the appropriate and limited use of our armed forces to support civilian law enforcement during the Electoral College certification. It's now clear that such concerns were shared by General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, as well as former CIA Director and at the time Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Pompeo and Milley, of course, as we also know, after the election, had discussed their fears that Donald Trump could somehow try to use the military to remain in power. Now, of course, these are legal experts that are offering this analysis. They're not saying 100% this is what happened, but they believe this helps explain the delay in the National Guard troops getting to the Capitol when we already know the Capitol Police were overwhelmed. Their own department refused to give them backup at the time they had originally called for it, which was, for the record, as early as 9 a.m. that morning, long before the riot actually took place. And of course, we have the fears of the military top brass that were already well known at the time. We know they were worried that Trump was going to try to use the military to remain in power. And of course, we also know from that PowerPoint that one of the possible plans was to have Donald Trump use the National Guard to go into the states and throw out any ballots they deemed illegitimate. So this is not just some off-the-wall conspiracy here that these legal experts are throwing out. This is based on real concrete evidence that we now know about. And again, I feel like there's a lot of merit to this. It does help explain why the National Guard was not immediately there when this was clearly a situation where they were needed and something that would absolutely fall within their jurisdiction. So that's where we're at. And again, these are the kinds of questions that should be answered by this January 6th committee, assuming they can get cooperation from all of Trump's allies, who, of course, are all refusing to cooperate, which, again, is another reason why this should be an investigation being conducted by the U.S. Department of Justice and not a House committee panel that doesn't have any real authority to speak of. All they can do is uncover the facts and then refer them to agencies that are actually able to prosecute. There's far too many questions still unanswered, and this, the delay in the National Guard deployment, possible fear that Trump would use the military against his own country, I'd say that's right at the top of the list of questions that need to be answered still.